Hello, my name is Wayne Alexander, and today we're going to be taking a look at queue management in CRM 2011. I'm going to be using the web version to show you queue management, but I can confirm it's exactly the same process in the Outlook version. Now, queue management has changed substantially since CRM 4 in the sense that in 2011 you can assign any entity to have queues. Any entity can have the ability to have queues, even custom entities. And what we're going to do today is we're actually going to create a new queue for the case entity. And what we wanted to do is it's going to be called third line support, so that when a case comes in, users would have the ability to assign that case to a third line support queue, where the third line team can go into the queue and reassign the case to themselves or to their colleagues. Okay, so first thing we need to do is ensure that queues have been set up for cases. So what I've done is I've gone to settings, I've clicked on customizations, and I'm going to go ahead and click on customize this system. And when I do, you know that it will give us a list of all the entities that are available in CRM 2011. I'm just going to go ahead and expand those entities, and I'm going to go ahead and expand cases, and I'm just going to go ahead and click on case. And once I do, I'm just going to navigate down to the communications and collaboration section, and I just want to ensure that this box is ticked. You'll notice this box is grayed out at the moment. There's a reason for this. Is because once you've ticked an entity to enable queues, it can't be changed. So once you've ticked that box and saved and published, it means there's no turning back. It means that queues will be enabled for that entity. As an example here, cases are already done. I could go down to an entity which hasn't been done, say for example leads. Just click on leads to go to that particular entity. Wait for that to go through. And as you can see there, queues hasn't been set up for leads, but if I was to tick that box, I can set that up right now. There's also an option here, it's the same for cases, which automatically move records to the owner's default queue when a record is created or assigned. I'm not going to tick that box for what we're doing today for cases, but just to let you know that that option's available. So I'm just going to go ahead and save that, and just waiting to update my entity. As I said, cases has already been set up with queues, but I just wanted to show you how you can set up an entity with queues by simply ticking that queues box. So I'll just wait for the entity to update itself, and if I go down the listings now, you can see it's been grayed out. Okay, so we've ensured that cases has been set up for queues. So what's the next step? The next step is to go over to business management and to set up our queue. So I've just gone to business management here. I'm going to go ahead and click on queue, and I'm going to go ahead and select new for a new queue. First thing the system wants is the queue name, so I'm going to go ahead and call that third line support. I'm going to give third line an email address, so I'm going to call this third line support at alexacorp.com. By default, the system would have the email access configuration set to none. You can change those to email router and forwarding mailbox. Depends what you want to use this queue for. Now, if I was using the queue as an email address, so to speak, so as you know, you can set up the queues in such a way that you can send emails from a queue. And if that's the case, then you will need to configure the email access. But what we're setting up our queue for is for third line, so all I need to do is put in third line support, the name and the email address, and I'm just going to go ahead and save and close. So we've set up our third line support queue. So what's the next step? What we're going to do now is jump over to the services area of CRM, and I'm going to go ahead and click on cases. So let's go through a typical scenario. So a case has been created, so I'm going to go in here now, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new case, and I'm just going to simply call this case for third line. I'm going to go ahead and select a customer. Let's select Cloud9 here. The subject, I'll just use questions and answers. Actually, I'll use CRM bug. Click OK. Case type is a problem. Case origin, let's say it came through via email. And all I'm going to do now is save. So this is the case that's come in, and this is a case for third line. So you can imagine what second line support would do at this moment is open up this case and click on add to queue. And when they click add to queue, they're just going to simply click on the lookup and select which queue they want to add this case to. With queues in CRM 2011, also, when a user is created, the system automatically creates a queue for that user. So there's a queue for myself and some queues for my colleagues. So I'm going to select third line support, click OK, and click OK again. So this case has now been assigned to third line support. Now in the scenario, third line support would come into the CRM system. They would click on the queue section of CRM. Now, by default, what they would see is third line support, and for them, again, the queue will be third line support, and the queue items by default will be items I am working on. Now, what they'll have the ability to do is change that drop down to say, show me items available to work on. In other words, these are cases that are in the queue that nobody is working on at the moment. And there's our case for third line. Third line user can go ahead and select that case, and they could select the option to say working on. So I'm just going to go ahead and select working on, assign to me to work on, or you could have assigned it to another user or a team. I'm going to assign it to myself because I'm pretending I'm third line. If I go ahead and click OK, it now jumps out of that that particular view. Why? Because this is only items that are available to work on. If I go back to items I am working on, you can see the case is now there. I'm third line. I could work on that case and I could resolve it as quickly as possible. So what I've done here is just give you a straightforward example of how you can make sure that an entity has its queues enabled. You can then go ahead and create queues, and you'll be able to, you have the ability to assign that entity type to the new queues that you've created. Thank you.